Hi there, and welcome to this second video in this series looking at several stages of different modeling types and working on the character that I've designed as part of this tutorial series. So in the last session we looked at box modeling, which was sort of a traditional technique used where we started off with a cube and started to sculpt and use some of the tools associated with modeling, such as the Insert Edge Loop tool, the multi-cut tool, fill, and the extrude tool. In today's lesson, we are going to start with extrusion modeling, okay, and we're going to work on the arm. So this is another modeling technique which sort of goes hand in hand, as we've seen in the last session, but today we are going to focus on it more so. So where do we begin? So you'll see from my drawings I've got an arm here for the side and an arm here, and basically with my drawing it's purposely been curved to sort of get you to think about the actual shapes in the body and these lines that naturally flow around, and what we're thinking here, well, when I was drawing, and what you should be thinking about is how these muscle groups relate to the overall design. So to sort of help with that, I've been online and been to a couple of sites. So I don't know if you know about this one, so this is Pose Maniacs. They have a variety of different poses, different shapes, and different body types and different genders, and they're allowed to pan around in a 180-degree view. What's important about this site is that the figures have muscles, as you can see here, and so we are able to actually look at where they fall into the body and what they look like. So today, obviously with the arm, we're going to focus on several key shapes, which I'll discuss as we go through. But as with this one here, once the bitmap loads up, if it's going to, I don't know. There we go. You can see that as we come down from the shoulder, we have muscle at the back, our tricep, I think it's tricep, and we have our bicep here. I think the triceps and leg. We have our bicep at the front, if I remember correctly, and we have basically several curves falling down. The one at the top sits a little bit further up than the end of the one at the bottom, and then finally we have our arm coming down in a straight line at the back. Now I tried to incorporate these into my drawing. It's quite an exaggerated and stylized character to start with. Not realistic as in this case, and I've also found this model, this website as well, in thebody.com, which sort of shows these muscles and where they fall. And as we can see at the back, we have the right deltoid, triceps. So we've got some triceps there, and we've got our biceps at the front, and for the back of the arm as well. Again, if you remember watching the Alfonso Dunn, who's got a really awesome YouTube channel, which I recommend checking out, he was talking about the different muscle groups, but these ones at the front lift inwards and pull in, they sort of flex, and these ones at the back, they stretch, they pull the arm back down. Okay, and so just want to sort of leave that without interfering it. Okay, so with that in mind, what we are going to do is to start our modeling. So with our model, we should now have that circle around the arm piece, and if you downloaded the file, you will have my original model there. I do recommend that you do your own, because obviously every bit of practice helps. Every bit of practice is going to help you get better. And hopefully you're starting to see now that we don't have to use loads and loads and loads of faces to iron out and flesh out the key shapes that we need. So with my object selected, I'm going to hold down the right mouse button and go to face mode, and I'm going to select these faces in the middle. Okay. Now we obviously want our character to be put in a T-pose. So what I am going to do is extrude. Yeah, I think we're going to extrude. Yeah, we're going to extrude out, and then we're going to rotate this arm, this image, just to suit where the actual arm is coming out, as opposed to coming down the side, which will give us less problems later on. Okay, when we come to rig our character. So I'm going to get up now the modeling toolkit again, so we can access it through the modeling menu. As I said, I want you to get used to working with these menu sets as opposed to relying on the other features in the software, because they do change. And go to show modeling toolkit, and it will appear on the right hand side. So if we go down, and obviously we've got face mode selected, and if we go down to extrude, in my object, and go down to extrude, we should hopefully, there we go, have our model. So I'm actually going to flick this back across this button here, which will take my selection to world mode, okay, which will go back to the accurate sort of set predefined spaces, okay, and I'm going to pull this arm out to about here, okay, and I think I'm happy with that. And don't worry if it's looking a bit weird, we're going to fix that up and tweak it. So I'm going to go back now and just go back into object mode, and I'm going to select my image plane of the back here, and I'm going to go to orthographic, and I'm going to go to front. What I need you to do is just check that you have these set to 0, because obviously once we rotate it and we want to move this image back to where we want it, we want to be able to get there relatively easy and stress free. So I'm going to go to shading, I'm going to turn X-ray on, it's going to click the wireframe mode as well, just so we can see where we are, and I'm going to select the background image and push to select it's got front 1 and push E, which will bring up our rotate tool, and I'm going to rotate our arm around roughly around here. Okay, so yeah, 45 degrees, and I'm just going to push W for world mode, and sorry, the translate tool, not world mode, translate tool, and I'm just going to bring that down and bring it across to about here. Okay, so once we've got that, we're going to work on this upper arm to start with initially. So what we're going to do is go back to panel, orthographic, or actually perspective. We're going to go into object mode, we're going to select our object, go back into object mode, face mode, sorry, not object mode, it's been a long day, your words confused, and once we've selected those sides here, we're going to go back into our front view. So go to panel, orthographic and front, and we're going to, I'm just going to retidy this up again, make it straighter, so you can push R to bring up the scale tool and just drag that box down to the middle there, and it will line that up nicely. So back in our modeling toolkit, I'm going to go back to extrude, I'm going to go back into world mode to keep it nice and straight, and I'm literally going to bring this down to about here, and then I'm going to push it again. Now if you want to use it again, just push extrude and bring that through there, which is going to lead into our muscle joint, okay, right into our elbow. So with this in mind, we're going to start looking at this in perspective. Okay, so what we have is our upper arm and shoulder area, which we're going to sculpt back in later on. We have our muscle areas. So essentially what we want to do is draw our tricep coming up out tighter at the top, like in the drawing, and we want our bicep to actually come out further at the bottom. Okay, and we're first of all going to start adding in some edge loops again, like we did last time. So to bring up that menu, what we're going to do is go to edit mesh tool, sorry, and click this bar at the top, which gives us our pop out menu, which just gives us some extra tools to use. We're going to go down to insert edge loop, and right in the middle here, remember you have to click on the edge. I'm going to just click and drag on the edge and put that in around here. So the beauty of this is we want that zigzag line coming down. So I'm going to push E to bring up my rotate tool, and I'm going to click on this yellow line here. When it turns yellow, it means it's selected, and I'm going to rotate that around like that, and I'm going to push W and I'm going to bring it down around here. Okay, So what we actually have here now is our muscle coming out and in, and our other muscle coming down and in, further down. But I'm still not quite 100% happy with that. So I'm going to go to vertex mode, there we go, and I'm going to drag and select these ones at the front, and I'm going to pull these in. I'm going to pull that in as well. Okay, and there's a very specific reason I'm doing that, as you'll see shortly. I'm going to bring this piece out there, and I'm going to take the whole thing further down to right here. I'm just going to take these two in slightly. Okay, and yeah, I mean, we're starting to get some of that definition happening there. I'm just going to take this piece out slightly. Yeah, okay, so we've got that definition of the muscle. We're actually going to extrude these faces out here and actually add that kind of shape inside the bicep, for the bicep, and I think we're going to take these in just a little bit. Okay, so we've still got some way to go. Obviously we've still got to do it from this angle, so this time we're going to go into our front mode, and we're going to just take these in slightly. So in fact, actually I'm going to select all of this whole edge loop. I'm going to push R, sorry, to bring up my scale tool. I'm just going to scale them in, and again down here we're just going to scale that in there. It gets to get that little pinch as it comes out of the socket, and I'm going to insert another edge loop around here. I'm going to push R again and just bring that up slightly. Okay, as you can see, we've got this arc coming around, but that is going to be defined by this shape here. Okay, and don't worry too much about going in. This is just a drawing, not an accurate accurate representation of what I was trying to achieve. And obviously remember, your models are always going to be open to changes and sort of changes and interpretations, so don't get too caught up if they're not exactly how they were planning out to be. So just go vertex mode there, just to select these and bring them in slightly. So once we've got that in, we're then going to go back to panel perspective mode, and there is another way of navigating through these and flipping between cameras, which we'll get to later on. And within this, I'm going to now extrude these faces. So I'm going to go into face mode. I'm going to set these first 4 faces there. Okay, and what I'm going to do actually before I do that is just go to vertex mode, and I'm just going to move these faces. In fact, I'm going to just turn off shading so you can see a bit better. I'm just going to move these bits in, okay, to create a more rounded shape. As I said before, you know, these curves and everything being round looks more natural than things being perfectly straight, and so you should always be judging, analysing, and seeing where you sit, whether you think it fits in right. I'm just going to pull that bit in, and whether you agree with it. Don't be afraid to change it. So again, we're going to select those faces, and we're going to go to extrude, go back to our world mode. The reason we go to world mode, by the way, is if I don't and I pull this out, it's just going to grow and grow and grow. It gets pulled out at the angles that it's at, and if we're trying to extrude over a large distance, it's going to look quite messy, and it can look messy from a close up as well. So I'm just going to pull this out very slightly, and I'm going to pull that in, and I'm going to pull this bit in. Okay, and I'm then going to go to vertex, translate mode, and I'm going to just pull these in. Okay, just going to pull those in. I'm going to pull this out, and we're going to start to define that shape a little bit more. So just pull these through. Push through, we can start to see that muscle, those muscles now starting to define. It's still not great, it's still not perfect, but we are starting to get that through. So I'm going to just very quickly go to vertex and select these pieces here, and what we're going to do is just using the scale tool is to just pull that in slightly. Okay, then what will happen is as we do that, we start to get this definition show. So sorry, the smooth mode here, I'm switching between 1 and 3 again, if you remember from the previous session. Forgot to re-mention that. And yeah, I think if we go to 1, push 1, you can start to see that muscle. So at the back, you can see where we've added this definition before. I'm going to do the same thing up here. We're actually going to add another muscle in just up here. So I'm going to go to face and I'm going to select these 4 here. Before I do that, I'm just going to tidy up these vertexes. Okay, so I'm going to bring this one up here, up here. Just take this one back slightly. Again, bring these ones back. Again, we've got this weird angle coming out here, which you want to make a little bit more rounder. So I'm just going to very quickly select these middle pieces here. I'm going to pull them out slightly, and I'm going to pick these ones and push them in slightly. Oh, so Control Z to undo. What happened there? There we go. Just make that a little bit more rounder. There we go. So if we smooth that now, yep, and then we just need to pull these ones out a little bit. And again with this one underneath, we can just, oh, I wasn't pushing shift, sorry. If we hold shift we can do multiple selections. So shift to select more than one point, more than one vertex, or any other form that you may need. Cool, so if we go back to 1, there we go. And what we're going to do now is just add those shapes in on this section here. So just going to break that cycle a little bit, which is fine. So what we're going to do now is just select all of these points, and we're going to rotate, that's it, our rotate tool, or our scale tool by pushing R, pull that in, straighten it up, and then just pull that back and pull this part in. And don't worry too much, actually it's probably gone a little bit too far, so let's just go back a little, just go back a step. Probably to about there will be sufficient. There we go. And yeah, we can just start to pull that back out. So again, it starts to look more like a box, but that's fine. So we go to our face, and we select those faces there, and we go to extrude, go back into world mode, and just pull that out. And just pull that in and that in. And obviously now we just need to make it bigger. So again, I'm actually just wondering if potentially we've probably used the wrong 2 faces and we should use the 2 that are further down. Yeah, I think we've used the wrong 2. So let's just quickly undo that. I do apologise, it's not the end of the world, this will happen. So again, we want to actually bring this piece out here and bring this piece down, bring this piece down, bring this piece in, bring this one up. There we go. So that's probably going to look a little bit better this time. Again, sometimes it's a case of just trial and error. So if we select those pieces now and we push our scale tool, which is R, just bring them in. There we go. And now this time, hopefully, if we bring this bit across as well, when we bring this out, go into phase mode, push shift to multiple select, and go down to extrude, go into world mode, we're just going to bring that down, and we're just going to pull that out. Okay, and then what we're going to do is just shift that up, and then we're going to take this edge and this edge here and bring those up as well. Okay, and go to vertex mode, holding down that right mouse button and pull this part up here. Okay, and we're starting to get some more of those definitions in there now. And then we're just going to pull these back in slightly. Just get more of a sort of natural curve up the arm. Pull these bits down, just make it a little bit more curved, a bit more fleshy. Cool, right. So we've got our middle joints down now. Again, we're going to add more flesh around here later on and sort of just define that a little bit more so that the shoulder isn't as compact or as straight around here. In fact, actually we can probably do a little bit of that now. So I'm going to select these vertexes here. I'm just going to bring those in. I'm just going to select this loop as well. Just rotate it slightly by pushing E and then rotating that around and just bringing that up a little bit. And this should all help with our compression later on. Obviously we can tweak these a little bit, which is fine. Just give it that sense that the arm, you know, and the shoulder are together. So again, we can just bring that down, bring this in. And then bring these bits out. And basically just build that into the back. There we go, I think that's looking a little bit better now. And we can add more, we can bring those back in, it's not a problem. Later on, as I said, it doesn't matter if we deviate a little bit from our design, because we have to go with what looks right in the model as opposed to being 100% accurate to our initial drawings. I've got both of them there, I want that, so let's go back, let's tidy that up. There we go. Cool, so we're starting to get that extra bit of definition there. Revealing itself, there we go. Right, so we're starting to get that down in there. You can probably bring this across as well. Okay, so that's looking cool. Okay, right. And then finally we'll just bring that up. a little bit. It's getting better. Okay, right. So what we're going to do, obviously apart from a little bit tidying, what we're going to do later on, we're now going to build down the rest of the arm. Okay. So again, we're going to go back into face mode, and this time I'm just going to quickly select this object actually and rotate it again. Background image. So let's just go to front mode, and if you push E again, this time we just want to line up this part along this. So this is why your drawings will need to be in a T-pose. I completely skipped my mind when I was drawing because I wasn't paying attention. So can you please make sure that you have done this in this way, as it can lead to problems later on. And we're going to go to perspective again, just make sure our faces are still selected, which they are for our object. And if we go back to front, and then this time we are going to extrude that again, and we're going to take this to about here, and then we're going to do it again to about there, and then again to about here. Okay, and then what we're going to do, we'll extrude once more, and yeah, and actually we'll do a little bit there, and then we're going to do one little bit more. Okay, which will make sense a little later on. So go back to object mode, and I'm going to explain what these pieces are. So these bits here are going to make up the elbow. This section is going to make the muscle growth up. This is going to be our max point. This is going to go down to our wrist, and then it's going to form the start of our palm. The first thing I'm going to do is go into this section here, hold shift, and if you select a face and then hold shift and then double click on that, it will select the loop, and I'm going to push delete. So once I've done that, I'm then going to go back to my edge mode, double click and select those edges, push W to bring up the move tool, and just start to reposition that. Okay, like so. And then I'm going to go to my scale tool by pushing R after double selecting that loop. I'm going to bring that in, and I'm going to bring that piece in as well, just very subtly. Okay. With this piece here, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to push E. I'm going to rotate that, going down. In fact, we're doing that from the wrong view. We need to do that from the top. And with this view here, I'm going to push R, and I'm going to scale that down, which is fine. And I'm going to go to face here, and I'm just going to scale that down as well, just to sort of match up with that there. Okay. Going to go to panel, orthographic, and top. And what we're going to do this time is, Control Z, there we go, is we're going to go and rotate this loop. So I'm going to go to edge, double click and select, go to push E, select the yellow part to rotate, and we're just gonna scoop that around, and then what will we do? Okay, and so what we're going to do is very quickly tidy these areas up. So we're going to just slowly rotate this piece around, and we're going to do the same down this end, just very subtly, not too much. And we're going to then take this side back in, like so. And in fact, actually, it's just select all of that, take that back in, and push R, and we're going to just take those bits back and select these two pieces and bring them back forward. The idea being that at this angle with these 2 points here and this line here, so with this edge, loop, and this edge loop, as the arm comes up, these will all fold and tuck in nicely. This will fall back, these will tuck in nicely, and it will appear as though the elbow is stretching around this space. So you may think you have quite a defined muscle for quite a muscly person, in which we do, which we can probably tone down a little bit later on so it doesn't look as awkward, but right now we don't need to worry too much about that. I'm not worrying too much about that, so neither do you. So what we're going to do, we're going to now bring in, let's go perspective, and we're just going to start applying the muscle on the top of the arm. So from the front view, we're going to take this down. So we're going to go to orthographic and front from panel, and we're going to go to vertex and select these vertexes here and just take them down. And in fact, it's actually in similar fashion to previous steps. We're just going to bring out the scale tool and I'm just going to line them up, and we're going to take them down like so. And from here, I'm just going to go back to panel mode, perspective mode in the viewport, and we're just going to select this face and this face, I think, yeah, and this one and this one, and I'm just going to bring them in a little bit more centrally, and I'm going to push out, I'm just going to stretch them out a little bit, just make them a little bit bigger, and I'm then going to, as before, go to vertex, push W to bring up the translate tool, and I'm just going to sculpt in these little shapes here, like so. Yeah, okay, cool. I might bring that down just a little bit more. And once we've got that, yeah, we're going to. In fact, actually, no, we're not going to do that one because it's attached to this. So let's just take that back. Sorry, push Control Z if you've been sort of pausing and keeping it up. So once this line's back where it is, we're actually going to add another edge loop in because we don't want to disrupt this flow here. So if we add another edge loop in there, that'll sort of cut that off, and then we can go back and we can actually add this vertex is in with our piece there, like so. Push W, so we use the scale tool to make them match up. We've then used the move tool to bring them down, or translate tool, and then we're going to just bring these in and create this muscle shape here and down here. Let's bring that out a little bit, and then we're going to go to our face tool. In fact, actually we're going to keep this flow going alive around here as well. And bring that in just a tiny bit. So bring that in as well. So you will find that you'll just do lots and lots of little bits of tweaking. It's fine. Then I go to face mode. I'm going to hold shift to select the additional faces, and then what we're going to do is just make sure we've got those selected. Yep. Go to extrude again. I'm going to bring this in and through the Y section of that. Just going to bring that down, and then I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to rotate it. Okay. And it's looking a little odd now. So what we're going to do is select the edges, around this loop. So we've got that loop there, and then we're going to select this loop. It's going to do these one by one because they won't follow that round. And we're just going to push W. I'm going to bring those up. And then we're going to select these middle pieces and bring those up. Obviously unselect that one, just select these two middle bottom ones and pull that up. Okay, then down this end, obviously it's really high, we don't want it that high, so we're just going to take these bits back down to around here, and then these bits down to around here. Then over here, we're actually going to take these pieces down and then start to just bring these pieces in as well. Again, we don't want it to be over the top as it's looking slightly at the moment, so we're just going to bring these bits in, bring these bits down. Bring this piece in here, this piece in there. So I'm going to select the whole of those vertices, and I'm just going to try and decrease that, and then decrease that. And again from this angle, I'm just going to bring those right in there. And then with this angle, this elbow piece here, don't want to go too far in. I think what I need to do is just bring these across a little bit, and actually just rotate these pieces around here slightly, so they look as though they are following that flow of the arm. So just going to twist these back slightly, there we go, just to straighten that up, and then we can just bring that in. Awesome. Okay, so what we're going to do at this point then with our elbow joint here, this is going to be brought down, and these bits are going to be brought up. And brought in like so. So it's going to come out further down here. This bit's going to be travelling up that way there. Again, as I said before, there's plenty of tweaking to be done, and that's just the nature of working in 3D. Lots and lots of tweaking. So I'm quite happy with that now, so excuse me if I'm being too quiet. It's just that I'm concentrating on thinking about what needs to be done next, what needs to be moved where. Going with these 3 elbow pieces, this piece will be brought in, made to fill up more of a socket. And at the back, so we've lost a little bit of the definition here at some point, so it's going to bring these down, make it feel a little bit more like a rounded shape. And yeah, so what we're going to do is add in a small socket here. So again, we're just going to sort of do what we did before, more like a bit of elbow definition rather than a socket. It's going to define that bone that sort of sticks out slightly. I'm just going to curve these up, make it feel more round, and we're going to select these faces that we have here, and we are going to extrude them. Just bring them down, and then we are going to just take that outside edge in slightly. And we sort of get that dimple there. And obviously, you know, we do want to sort of bring this back out a little bit around here, so I'm just going to go and insert another edge loop around here. And just going to bring this point out just to make it feel that little bit more fleshy. Okay, so when we smooth it, it just we still see that definition of the muscle, but this bit doesn't look as flat. I think we might need to take the elbow in just a tiny bit. And as I said, that's okay. You know, there's lots of tweaking involved. So flipping between you moving your scale tool just to bring that in. Oh, push forward there. Let's just turn that off. There we go. Now, finally, before we sort of finish off our arm, we're just going to add one more thing in. I realise that, you know, this muscle at the top here is quite big, so we may want to sort of just bring it down a little bit. We can always add more edge loops in later. Is to select these bits down here, and what we want to do is be able to, when we do our hand flat down, be able to rotate it back into a default position. So if we rotate this inwards by 45 degrees, so by inwards I'm talking towards us at this point, what will happen is, so over here I want to move that down to there, yeah, probably around to here, so you just got this little sort of twist. Okay, and the reason that we're going to do that is because we want to be able to twist our arm back. So we're going to do our arm flat down, coming down like this way, imagine it's curling in this way. We want our arm to be able to, when it twists back, so when we turn it back on itself, our muscle line goes back straight. Okay, so we start here, we twist here, and it goes back straight. Okay, so we've got our twist, so we just turn that off there, and we're going to connect that up later on. When we get to the hands, still got some faces selected there for some reason, just won't select them. Sometimes your file mod does that. So there we go. So the arm should swing to just below the hips, and obviously once we get our legs in, that should swing to around about there, the hand. So we may need to shorten the arm a little bit, but generally speaking, we now have, we've followed the muscle groups, got our bicep, our tricep, our forearm shaping. I mean, again, this could be brought in a little bit if we don't want to define it as much, but obviously again, As I say, it's just that bit of a tweaking game, just constantly tweaking, and making sure we're following curves and flows. So yep, we're not as stylized as the original drawing, but what's important for you right now is to learn how these muscle groups and these key definitions of shapes that we have on our skin are formed. So again, it's low res, low poly, which is what we want. We get more control over what we do and the things that we add later on. So if I just quickly turn off the wireframe, you can see now how those really subtle changes have made that shape, appear, those shapes appear. Okay. So in the next lesson, we're going to start looking at using Quad Draw, which is another tool which can be located here, and we're going to start building the legs and getting those built out of our character. Okay, so keep practicing. Hopefully by now you've managed to build that out. I hope that you've used your own model from the start and been working on those, because obviously you'll be getting all that extra experience in, and I'll see you in the next lesson. So take care.